Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Iceland for the first time in over a year if memory serves me correctly, and it's always a treat when you get to review an Icelandic beer, of course, because they're not that easy to find. So this is why I'm wearing blue today, of course, because I'm from Iceland and all of that. But for this one we are going to return to Reykjavik and have a look at another beer from Borg Brugghús. So this one is the number 16.1, the Quadrupel, and it's called Júdas. So 16.1, of course, when it's 0.1 it signifies that this is a kind of tweaked version of one of the original beers. But this one has been aged in cognac cask for 6 months, so it should be quite nice. As I mentioned, it's a Belgian Quadrupel and it comes in at 11.5%. So as I said, this is a brewery I've had very positive experiences with in the past, and it is cool to get another one of their beers and be able to review it for you here on the channel. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Borg Brugghús before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, province, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Icelandic beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, of course, whenever I can get a hold of some Icelandic beers. But as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Borg Brugghús then. So Borg Brugghús translates into English as the Borg Brewery or the Town Brewery, and it's the craft division of Egil Skallagrimsson in Iceland, which is part of the Oldugan Group, the oldest brewery in the country, and like I mentioned, they're based in the capital city Reykjavik in the southwestern part of the country. But Egil Skallagrimsson was probably the most famous Viking who ever lived, and he had a great impact upon Iceland. So he was born in the year 910, and he was a high-spirited, stubborn, and not the most handsome of individuals actually. But at a very young age he left on the first of his many successful voyages with his brother Thorolf, and upon his return he was made the chief of Iceland. So Egil was apparently a great lover of mead, and there's many stories about his affinity for alcohol and him being kind of crazy and ruckus when he's been a bit drunk. But the brewery say that this gave them a lot of motivation to name their brewery after him, if you like. But the Egil Skallagrimsson brewery was founded back in 1913, and it's won many awards for its beer since then. But to allow the brewery staff room to create new things and kind of follow the trend of American craft beers that was going on, they formed Borg Brugghús. So the brewery is actually led currently by head brewer Valgar Valgarsson, who was the original brewer at Ulfsholt, which is one of the other Icelandic microbreweries. He was actually the creator of the famous lava beer, which is probably one of the pinnacle beers in the Icelandic craft beer scene. So there's a lot of good breweries in Iceland these days. I mean, there's Geiringer, there's Ulfsholt of course as well, then there's these guys, and there's a few other smaller ones popping up too that you should check out. As I say, check out my playlist of beers that have my playlist of Icelandic beers, I should say, and you'll see a lot of these things. But when I was up in Iceland, I was very impressed by the standard of craft beer that they have. So long may it continue, and hopefully we start to get Icelandic beer a bit more readily outside of the country, of course. But Iceland is a very beautiful country, and I highly recommend that you visit it at some point if you get the chance. But that's enough about the brewery and Iceland just now. We'll actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So like I mentioned to you, this one is an 11.5% Quadrupel. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. You can see it's quite simple. On the back it says, this Belgian style ale is aged in cognac cask for 6 months for that sweet yet subtle taste of vanilla and sherry. Now give us a kiss. Unfiltered and unpasteurised, store in a cool dark place, and the bottle is recyclable apparently. And you can see the little bit of Icelandic writing on the back there. You can pause the video and have a look at that if you want, and there you can see the Borg Brugghús bottle cap on this one, but very nicely presented. As I say, the key thing with this brewery is that they like to put numbers on their beers. They produced over 50 different beers so far, if I remember correctly, but they're always fiddling with their recipes and doing different things. So yeah, looking forward to this one. This of course was one of the small partiers that I got through System Bolaget. So we'll get this guy out and into the glass then. You can see there was a nice smoky opening to it as we opened it up there, but it's really a very nice dark colour, this one. There we are, just a little bit of sediment coming out there, but not too much. So as you can see, this beer is poured a really kind of nice dark ebony rosewood colour. If I hold it up to the light, it has got a little bit of a ruby edge to it, almost like in a mahogany ruby sort of thing. You can see there's a solid finger of a frothy beige tan head on this one. There is a little bit of bumpiness to it. The bubbles are slightly bigger. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there, but overall it looks like a really quite nice beer, and it does have the kind of typical colour that you would expect from a Belgian quadruple. It's got that nice ruby edge to it, but mainly it's a nice dark sort of chestnut, ebony, rosewood sort of thing. But yeah, really nice looking beer. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. I tell you something, you can smell the sherry on that. You can smell the sort of sherry and kind of cognac things. It's definitely got a little bit of that sort of wine, grapey, red grapey acidic sharpness to it. It's got a little bit of woody spice as well. It smells lovely. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. There's a lot going on in this one actually, and it smells really boozy, but I mean at 11.5% you wouldn't expect anything else. This is a big beast of a beer. Oh, that smells lovely. So yeah, once you get past the sort of cognac, kind of sherry type notes that you're getting out of this one, you'll notice there's a good bit of woody spice in there as well. I can actually pick up the vanilla now that my nose has kind of adjusted to it a bit more, but there's a lot of brown sugar in here. There's some sort of nutty notes as well, but it's got a big toasty brown sugar element to it. It is kind of caramelly, but at the same time it's got some of that darker sort of treacle or molasses as the Americans would call it. There is a good bit of that in this beer. There's a nice kind of sweet brown bready base to this one as well, which is quite nice. Yeah, it's a really interesting smelling beer, this one. There's just a lot going on in it. You can smell a little bit of earthy hop in it, and there's a good bit of red fruit as well. You know, there's a sort of plum kind of raisiny thing going on with this one. It does have a little bit of sharpness, and that goes well with the kind of boozy characteristics that the beer has as well. But it smells lovely. It does smell really, really quite boozy though. You'll notice that as soon as you take a whiff of this. But just, as I say, take a little bit of time and mull the aroma over before you taste it, because it always is a good part of the experience too. But yeah, that's enough about the aroma just now. We'll get stuck into this beer then. So this one is the Júdas number 16.1, the sherry or the cognac cask aged edition, I'm sorry. It comes in at 11.5% from Borg Brugghús in Reykjavik, Iceland. Once again, Skal to Iceland, and of course, since I haven't done an Icelandic beer review for you since then, congratulations to the Icelandic national football team for Euro 2016. They did great. Skal. That is really nice. I like that. They've done a good job with this one. You can tell right away. What surprises me about this beer, just on the first sip, this guy I think only got a 73 or something like that on Rate Beer. It really wasn't that highly rated when I checked it out earlier. And to me, just on the first sip, that seems too low. I really like how this one comes across. It is quite a bit different from some of the other Belgian quadrupels that I've come across before. It doesn't, on the first couple of sips, it doesn't quite have the same sort of brown sugar element that you'd normally expect. It's bigger and boozier. But to me, that's a really nice beer. I like how this one comes across. And it's just nice and smooth. The one thing you always notice with Icelandic beers, of course, is it's just the mineral content. The water just feels really smooth and it has that almost minerally character to it. So that's one thing I always look forward to when I try Icelandic beers. They drink so well, and that's maybe something I'm just used to, of course, being Scottish, because we've got good water as well, and you always notice it, particularly in Icelandic beer. But yeah, like the aroma, there's a lot going on in this beer. So in the middle of your palate, you'll feel this sort of brown bready character just kind of forming the backbone of the beer. On top of that, you get these slightly thicker, sort of bready, yeasty kind of notes, and there's some sort of nutty and woody flavours just mixing in with that. You can pick up a little bit of the spice, which is obviously from the woody characters of the barrel that you'll get from the barrel aging. You can really pick that up in this beer nicely. The caramel and the sort of brown sugar elements in the beer They're a little bit more subtle. They're kind of suppressed maybe by the booziness that the beer has a little bit. Yeah. The brown sugar notes you're getting out from this one, they come out right in the middle of the tongue. The beer comes in and it's big and oily. Then as you start to move a little bit more into the aftertaste, that's when I'm starting to get these nice kind of brown sugary elements. To me they come across as a little bit darker. It is a more of a kind of treacly, molasses sort of thing. It's more of an oily kind of brown sugar character than a toasted sort of caramelly thing coming out of this one, which is quite interesting. The way the brown sugar in this one comes out is quite different from other things that I've had before, but I like how it just sits there in the middle of the palate on top of that kind of bready, yeasty sort of thing. And as you progress further and further into the aftertaste, for me, I'm starting to get a little bit of the slightly spicy character that you'll expect from the kind of the cognac barrels, of course. And again, these kind of cognac sort of almost sherry type flavours come out more as you get into the aftertaste. Right now, you've seen how long since I took a sip of the beer, but you can feel these nice woody elements just sitting along the edge of the tongue. This beer, it's got so much kind of depth to it. It's just really quite interesting. So just take a little bit of time and just allow the aftertaste to develop in your mouth as well, because that's where a lot of the flavour's coming out in this beer. That's nice. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of the vanilla now as well. You need to take a few sips and just let your whole palate adjust to this beer before you start kind of analysing it too much. But the vanilla that they're talking about in this one, I do see what they mean with that. The vanilla comes out a little bit further forward on the palate than I was expecting, but it's another thing that it gives this beer a lot of different levels. There's a lot going on in this one, so just be prepared for that when you try it. But I mean, when it's a Belgian quadrupel, it's really the quadrupel is the Belgian equivalent of the barley wine, to be honest with you. There's a lot of complexity to this particular beer style, but you know, for me, Borg Brugghús have done a nice job with this one. I would like to try the original and just see how it varies from this particular version, of course, just to see if it's a little bit sweeter, and just to see what the kind of cognac casks actually do to the beer. That would be really interesting. But as a standalone beer, it's really pretty damn good actually. So once again, a big thumbs up to Borg Brugghús for this one. Yeah, I love how that comes across. On the hoppy side of things, there's not too much going on with the hops. There's a little bit of earthiness in the back corner of the palate. There is a wee bit of bitterness there, but as you come further forward, it just smooths out, and there is just a little bit of bitterness on the front corners of the palate. As you go round the front curve of the tongue, there's a little bit of earthiness, maybe just a very slight kind of tint of grassiness in there, but you know, it is kind of what you would expect from this style. There isn't too much going on in the hoppy side of things. This one's all about the sort of malt base and the kind of yeasty aspects of the beer. The fruity side of things is interesting as well. So if you just go behind the front curve of your palate, that's where you'll find this little oily bubble where all the nice kind of fruity aspects of the beer will come out. That's where you get all these red fruity esters. So for me, there is a little bit of figgy character to this beer, which is that lighter kind of smooth thing, but then you start to get more of the sharper and juicier notes out of the beer. There's a little bit of raisin in there, but also some kind of plums as well, and maybe even just a little bit of the even lighter sort of candied red fruit kind of thing. It always reminds me of these little heart-shaped sweets you get in the Haribo Star Mix, but the main thing to take away from my tasting of this beer is that it's pretty damn good, and it's got a lot of depth to it actually, but it is quite different from what I remember the actual Belgian quadrupels being. This one for me doesn't quite have the same amount of a brown sugary sweetness to it that the other one has, and the mouthfeel is a little bit different as well, but again, that's probably down to the Icelandic water. So in terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I would say this guy, it is a full-bodied beer, but it is a little bit lighter than some of the quadrupels that I've come across before, and like I say, I think a lot of that's down to the water. You can taste with this one that the water obviously is very high quality. There's a lot of mineral content in the water in this one. As far as I can tell from the taste. The carbonation's very smooth. It is a very oily beer, this one. It's got a nice oily mouthfeel to it. Not quite as oily as you'd expect from a Belgian one, of course. It's more that mineral content makes the beer just feel that little bit more wetter. So it's somewhere in between a kind of wet and oily mouthfeel you're going to get from it, I would say. The malt base of this one is quite sweet. There's a little bit of spicy character to it as well. There is a wee bit of dryness from the spicy character as the flavour progresses. The hops on this one are very, very smooth. There's just a tiny little bit of bitterness, and you've got a nice kind of small element of juicy red fruit as well. But it's a really nice beer. This, if you get the chance to try this one, I highly recommend that you do. But just be prepared that it is a little bit different from what you'd expect from a Belgian quadrupel, of course. But that said, on its own, it's a really good beer, and I wouldn't expect anything less from Borg Brugghús. So it's definitely worth trying if you get the chance. But yeah, really nice beer. But the most important thing is whether you enjoy it or not. I've said this in reviews before, some beers they'll say it's this particular style and it doesn't quite fit into what you'd normally expect with it, but the main point is that it's a good beer, and they have done a good job with this one. It's a quadruple with a slightly different feel, and I guess it is an experiment to see how it would do with the cognac cask. So I would be interested to try the original version of this one and just see how it compares to this particular version. So yeah, another really good beer from Borg Brugghús, and I'm glad that I got to try this one for you guys on the channel. So hopefully I can review some more of these for you in the fairly near future, but this one at least was another very, very good beer. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. It's been really cool to do another Icelandic beer for you. It's been too long since I was able to do one of these, so hopefully you'll see more in the near future. But as always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. It's always great to hear from you guys. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out my usual social media. And please do let me know your own thoughts on this beer and what your favourite ones from Borg Brugghús are as well, and of course any other little craft brews that are popping up in Iceland. But until the next time, Sláinte just now, and I will catch you guys very soon from Iceland, and make sure you check out some of the Borg Brugghús beers. I'll catch you guys very soon, hopefully with more Icelandic beers coming soon. Cheers!